Everything is contained within Krishna consciousness. By worshipping Krishna, by chanting Krishna's holy name, everything is accomplished. This is stated many times throughout the Shastra. Krishna himself explains in Bhagavad Gita, in the 2nd chapter, that exactly like a huge reservoir of water, whenever there's a huge reservoir of water, then all the purposes that you can accomplish with any smaller, like a well, small pond, or different wells. In India, they used to have different wells, one for washing clothes, one for doing this. The purpose of everything can be accomplished in one great reservoir of water. Of course, nowadays people wash their clothes with detergent in the water, and all the water becomes contaminated. But otherwise, originally in India, people had all these different places. So in the same way, everything we want to do, everything we try to accomplish, just like in modern society, they have Mother's Day, Father's Day, Labor Day, Memorial Day, even in the U.S., Postman's Day, everything. They try to acknowledge everything. But if we acknowledge Krishna, and we understand the real nature of Krishna, then we understand everything. Everything is automatically included. So just in relation to that, Krishna himself declares in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita the same. And I read that particular verse, 9th chapter, text number 17. Pitahamasya jagato matadhata pitamaha veja pavitam gara vriksamaya jurevacha. Translation of purport. His divine grace, Srila Prabhupada. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, Sama, and the Yajur Vedas. We're going to please repeat. I am the father of this universe. I am the father of this universe. The mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, the Sama, and the Yajur Vedas. Purport. The entire cosmic manifestations, moving and non-moving, are manifested by different activities of Krishna's energy. In material existence, we create different relationships with different living entities who are nothing but Krishna's marginal energy. Under the creation of Prakriti, some of them appear as our father, mother, grandfather, creator, etc. But actually, they are all parts and parcels of Krishna. As such, these living entities who appear to be our father, mother, etc. are nothing but Krishna. In this verse, the word Dattavara means creator. Not only are our father and mother parts and parcels of Krishna, but the creator, grandmother, and grandfather, etc. are also Krishna. Actually, any living entity being part and parcel of Krishna is Krishna. All the Vedas therefore aim only toward Krishna. Whatever we want to know through the Vedas is but a progressive step toward understanding Krishna. That subject matter which helps us purify our constitutional position is especially Krishna. Similarly, the living entity who is inquisitive to understand all Vedic principles is also part and parcel of Krishna, and as such is also Krishna. In the Vedic mantras, the word Om, called Pranava, is a transcendental sound vibration and is also Krishna. And because in all the hymns of the four Vedas, Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Dattavara. The Pranava, or the Omkara, is very prominent. It is understood to be Krishna. Om Jnana Shurumekam Yanatasman Sri Guru Maha Vichaitanya Vishtam Sapitam Yena Bhuttade Swayam Rupakatam Anantarati Shvam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhuttade Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Vishesha Shunyavati Paskate Vishesharine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Radha Shivashti Guru Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So as I mentioned, I wanted to read this verse to relate the separate recognition in our society. As I've mentioned many times, we have the tendency to departmentalize our life. We have our spiritual department, which in many cases is the least of all, the lesser of all departments. And then we have our educational, economical, recreational, which is usually the biggest part, recreation. Although most important, but not necessarily consuming the greatest amount of time. Generally, the productive or trying to make money to be able to enjoy. This is the pitfall of material existence. It requires so much effort to enjoy so little. And in Krishna consciousness, it's just the opposite. It requires so little effort to enjoy unlimited. What do we have to do? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. But one can say, well, I've been chanting 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And I make a big effort, and I still am suffering so much. Still am feeling so much anxiety, not experiencing that bliss that I read about, that I hear about. Such little effort, such great bliss. That is because, as it says here in this particular purport, we have to understand that Krishna is everything. There is no department. If we departmentalize our lives and Krishna is one little segment, then when you chant His holy name, that means that you want His holy name. I want it to give me this and give me that and give me everything else. And also, I want to serve Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he, as we quoted today in our class this morning, that Krishna, in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is giving the highest transcendental spiritual pleasure to everyone. And very easily, very simply, without any real requirements. But the one requirement is to understand the greatness of Krishna. And this is what's being, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing here in his purport. Just like on a day like today, we honor the mother, and it's important to honor the mother or the father. It's important to have respect for all different members of our hierarchy. Those hierarchy, in a spiritual sense, means those who give us Krishna. So even if our mother and father are not Vaishnavas, not devotees of Krishna, they still have given us this body. And this body has given us the opportunity to worship Krishna. So actually the real way to honor the mother and the father is to use this body for Krishna, especially if they're not devotees. Because that way we give great importance to that thing which they have given us. We're Krishnas, they're Vaishnavas, if they're devotees, they give us Krishna. They try to give us Krishna. We may not accept, but they try to give us Krishna. Then also, the greatest respect that we can offer to them is to worship Krishna. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he ordered Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Haridas Thakur. He said, Shuna Shuna Nityananda Shuna Haridas. That listen very carefully, Nityananda Prabhu, also Haridas. You are the two persons who I have selected to do something very special. Sarvatra Maharagya Kuruho Prakash. That you should everywhere, I want you everywhere in every part of the world. I want you to I want you to take my order, Agya, and Kuruho Prakash. Expand it everywhere. And what is that order? What is the order? That Prati Gari Gari Diha Kuru E Bhiksha. That you should become bhiksha, you should become beggars. Because when there is a beggar, when someone goes to beg, then the donor, the person who gives the donation, is in the superior position. So you should go to everyone as a beggar. It's like the devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement, the residents of the Krishna conscious temples. They are beggars. They Bhakti Gari Gari Giya. They go door to door, home to home, person to person. And they beg. And what do they beg? Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna. Guru Krishna Shishna. That, what are they begging? They're not begging for money. Srila Prabhupada, he made this point very clear. That a devotee, a sannyasi, or any devotee, is who dedicates themselves to pleasing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are beggars, but they are not ordinary beggars. An ordinary beggar wants something for themselves. But what are they begging? Bolo Krishna. That you chant His holy name. You are speaking so many things. Shruta Vidini Rajendra Rina Sandha Sahasrasha. Everyone is speaking so many things except Apashatam Atma Tattva, except for knowledge about the Supreme. And why Grihesh Griha Medina? Because they're absorbed in Griha Medina. All their intelligence is dedicated to my home, family, friends, money, society, all these things that have nothing to do with the soul. What does any of these things have to do with the soul? Of course, we can take all of these things and make them meaningful if we have a relationship with Krishna. This is called Vidbad Ruti. Vidbad Ruti means the conventional meaning of anything or any object. So the conventional meaning of every object, just like you go to the dictionary, you go to the internet, you can put in any word and you'll get, especially the internet, you'll get so many references. What does it mean? Where do you find it? You get an etymological breakdown of where does it come from, Latin, Greek, Sanskrit, all kinds of information, conventional meaning. But all those meanings, all of that intellectual activity, all of that effort to explain this word or this thing becomes totally 100% useless as far as benefit to the soul. But so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Bolo Krishna. Then you say the name Krishna. It's like when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went to Gaya on the pretext of making the Shraddha offering for his father. But his real reason for going there was was to make the transition from Nimai Pandit to Vishwambar. Nimai Pandit, Lord Chaitanya in that personage of Nimai Pandit was a great scholar. And he showed that even being a great scholar, knowing so many things, he didn't emphasize so much Krishna. Of course, he worshipped Krishna in his home. His mother was Vaishnavi, so he worshipped Krishna. But he was dedicating himself to knowledge, learning, logic, grammar, and he was respected by everyone. But then, he wanted to show that this is not the goal of life. To be a great pandit, to be a very wealthy person, to be a very learned person, to be a very popular person. He went to Gaya, and he came back. And when he came back as Vishwambar, as Nimai Pandit, he was taking from everyone. When someone is a great pandit, very learned, very knowledgeable, then they are taking from everyone respect, recognition, coming to me. But then he came back as Vishwambar. Vishwambar means the maintainer, the sustainer. Then he came back to give Krishna to everyone. And he was just chanting Krishna's name. And so, because he was Nimai Pandit previously, he had so many students. Actually, everyone in Navadvip wanted to be the student of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, when he came back, all of his students gathered together, and he began to teach them. But everything was based on Krishna. Everything he explained in grammar, in logic, in philosophy, was all about Krishna. So his students went to Gangadas Pandit, who was the teacher of Nimai Pandit. And they said, we don't understand what he's talking about. The only thing he's talking about is Krishna. Everything he says is Krishna. Everything is related to Krishna. Everything is about Krishna. Everything comes from Krishna. So they were complaining. But actually he was giving the real meaning to everything. Everything immediately had meaning. He was explaining grammar. He was explaining logic. He was explaining all the different aspects of Sanskrit, all the aspects of understanding Vedic science, but in terms of Krishna. And therefore everything became meaningful. So in the same way, our lives also become meaningful. If we can steep everything, if we can relate everything to Krishna, relate our work to Krishna, relate our recreation to Krishna. Just like it's very difficult not to have recreation. Even Krishna recommends in Bhagavad Gita that you should be moderate in your eating, sleeping, recreation. So it's a natural tendency, especially when people have family, children want to play. Everyone has a different way of different desire, social life. People want to get together to talk, to eat. But if it's not related to Krishna, then it becomes a great distraction. So also, to be mother, father, or to have days or events dedicated to ourselves. If it's not related to Krishna, then it becomes something, just a distraction from the real purpose of life. So Bolo Krishna, Bhadra Krishna, and to worship Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to tell everyone that this is the purpose of life, to worship Krishna. Because worshiping everyone is doing. As I've mentioned many, many times, but it was such a good example that Srila Prabhupada said when he was speaking with Professor Kotovsky in Russia, in Moscow. He said, what you are doing, what I am doing, the same thing. We are not doing something different. You are worshipping Lenin, I am worshipping Krishna. So we're doing the same thing. So what the real issue is, the real subject of discussion is, who is worthy of worship? And Srila Prabhupada said, You know, Lenin, he is laying there, a dead body. You know, there is no more Lenin. Simply some imagery. But Krishna is eternal. He is of all eternals, he is the supreme source of eternality. And of all conscious beings, he is supremely conscious. Ego bahunam vidadhati kaman. And he is the only person who can satisfy everyone's desire. Just like going back to today. We want to satisfy the mother by honoring the mother on Mother's Day. We want to satisfy the father on Father's Day. We want to satisfy the children on their birthday. And we want to satisfy someone else on some other day. But you can satisfy everyone by worshiping Krishna. Because he is the one person who can satisfy everyone. But if you try to satisfy any other person, then you will make someone else unhappy. As soon as you align yourself with anything that is not Krishna, then someone will become your enemy. Of course, also if you align yourself with Krishna, then the atheists will become your enemy. But even the atheists, they appreciate Krishna consciousness. Because as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Nityananda Guru and Haridas, you become beggars. So even a devotee of Krishna is so humble. If a devotee is a real devotee, just like I remember one program that Srila Prabhupada did, I think it was in, I can't remember if it was Atlanta or Chicago, but maybe it was Atlanta. And he was invited to this television program. So this man was not very favorable. He was like a very proud person, not very favorable. So he put a chair, of course, you know, just a chair there for Srila Prabhupada. You have all kinds of challenging questions lined up. So, and Srila Prabhupada started, you know, they announced now we would have Bhaktivedanta Swami, we didn't even say his divine grace or anything, and to discuss about his movement. And then, all of a sudden the devotees came in, took the chair away, and put it in the Vyasasana. This huge Vyasasana, like the man had a little desk, most TV interviews had a little desk and so they brought in this big Vyasasana. And Srila Prabhupada walks up in his regal, swan-like way, walks up and looked at him, smiled, and then sat down in the Vyasasana. And so he said, "So I see you have a big seat." And Srila Prabhupada said, "Yes, that is the nature of love. When someone loves you, they will offer you anything." So these, somehow or another, he said, my disciples, they love me, therefore they give me this big seat. So, you know, he didn't know what to say. He said, "Why do you shave your head?" And Srila Prabhupada said, "It is very clean." And so he said like 2 or 3 more things. And Srila Prabhupada was so wonderful that he immediately began to smile. And he said, "Why don't you just tell me about your movement?" And Prabhupada started preaching. So Prabhupada completely disarmed him. And so many people, everyone Srila Prabhupada, even though they may be atheists, they may be whatever they were. There's like one boy in Iran, in Tehran. He was challenging, so challenging to Srila Prabhupada, one young man. And Srila Prabhupada just disarmed him, one question after another, one thing after another. And finally the boy just, you know, had to surrender. So this is the nature of the devotee. But if you align yourself with anything else, then you become an enemy. Just by being born in one country, you become the enemy of someone. Just by being born. Then there will be someone who doesn't like that country. Some other country doesn't like it. There must be somewhere they don't like Trinidad. Maybe Guyana. So, not so far away. So, and you go anywhere in the U.S., they don't like them so much in Mexico, and you know, most places in the world don't like the U.S., and you know, you go here, they don't like, always just friends and enemies. So, but if we align ourselves with Krishna, then everyone is our friend. They may not realize that they're our friend, but they are actually our friend. So this is the nature of Krishna consciousness. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said this: you worship Krishna and go to Krishna's Shikshana. And you teach, no. You teach about Krishna. No. Otherwise, Krishna Shiksha, teaching about Krishna, means that don't try to understand Krishna consciousness superficially as some religion, some ritualistic process. Just like here in Trinidad, everywhere in the world, we have certain religious processes, and generally it's based on ritual. So there's so many rituals, and people go, and they do the minimum amount, and then they think the same formula that we just discussed about, minimal amount, chanting Hare Krishna, you get the greatest benefit. That's what people think religion is for. Minimal effort, maximum benefit. I do my process to the Supreme, to God, and He give me all kinds of wealth and all kinds of this and that. But when we speak about minimal effort and maximum benefit in Krishna consciousness, it means the physical effort is minimal, but the effort on the level of consciousness, on the level of offering to Krishna, is maximum. Because Krishna says, that in proportion to someone's sacrifice, I will reciprocate with them equally. So if we give everything to Krishna, Krishna has to give everything to us. It's like when Sudam Vipra went to offer Krishna, his little bag, or his little handful of rice. And he met Krishna. He was very embarrassed. Krishna's living in his big palace. So I'm going to give him a handful of rice. It's like sometimes people's birthdays or Christmas, whatever event there is in society. Sometimes we know someone is very wealthy, so you think, and I'm not very wealthy, what can I give them? No, they have everything. So what am I going to give them? You can give them Prasad. That's a good thing to give. Or give them a Bhagavad Gita. Or give them something related to Krishna. But in any case, it's very, so Sudam was very embarrassed, but Krishna took his offering. And then when Sudam was left and he was returning, he was thinking that actually Krishna didn't give me anything. Actually, he did give me something. He gave me his audience. He gave me his friendship. But he didn't give me what I came for, which was a little more material facility. Because Krishna knows my heart. Otherwise, the devotee is immediately satisfied that Krishna gives us something very great, very wonderful, or Krishna gives us practically nothing. No. A devotee is always satisfied. Whatever Krishna does, whatever Krishna gives. But Krishna was lamenting. Krishna was thinking, my devotee gave me everything and he gave me more than he had. Otherwise, that rice, Sudam didn't even have any rice. He gave Krishna borrowed rice. Krishna said, so my devotee has defeated me. Because he gave me everything and more than everything. And I cannot even give him everything. What to speak of giving him more than everything, because there's nothing more than everything. Therefore my devotee did better than me. So, this is a loving relationship with Krishna. That if we can simply give Krishna everything that we have, then Krishna can give us everything we need and even more. This is the nature of Krishna consciousness. But if we try to get on by our own effort, even what we need, basic needs, most people in the world cannot even get their basic needs. We may be able to get our basic needs, but then we have so many desires, and we cannot satisfy those unlimited desires that we have in our lives. So, but by giving to Krishna, and therefore Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, don't just give some ritualistic religious practice to the people, my dear Haridas, my dear Nityananda Prabhu. Give them the essence. Let them understand Krishna, as Srila Prabhupada says here in his purport. Let them understand that everything is coming from Krishna, that we ourselves are part and parcel of Krishna. Of course, we should not understand what Srila Prabhupada says here, that similarly the living entity who is inquisitive to understand all Vedic principles is also part and parcel of Krishna, and as such is also Krishna. Yes, we are Krishna because we're part of Krishna, but we are a small part. Just like nobody says, my finger is me. No. Although certainly the finger is part of me, but I don't say, yes, here I am. No. Can I see your picture? And no one shows a picture of their finger, or their toe. No. Especially if you're looking for marriage, that wouldn't be very effective. Show them a picture of your toe. So, it means that everything is part of Krishna. Therefore, give this essential understanding. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave another instruction. He said the same thing. Bala Krishna, Bala Krishna, Vajra Krishna, Loho Krishna Nam. You chant about Krishna, you instruct about Krishna, and you give the name of Krishna, because by giving the name of Krishna, people can actually become purified and understand this Krishna consciousness movement. Because Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Anapran. Because by giving the holy name, people will understand Krishna to the degree that Krishna is our mother, Krishna is our father. Krishna is the very essence, the very life and essence of our wealth. Otherwise, we may think wealth means so many TT, or so many dollars, or so many things, so many diamonds, big possessions. But the real essence of wealth is Krishna. If we have Krishna, then we have everything. And through Krishna, we can attain everything. So this is the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How we can understand everything is contained within Krishna. And if we understand this to the fullest degree, to the highest degree, then we'll have actual prosperity. Then we'll be able to see everything in relation to Krishna. So also this ISKCON movement, to understand what does it mean to be in ISKCON, we have to apply the same principle. It doesn't mean that by being part of an institutional organization that you are automatically Krishna conscious. But we have to understand the essence of this movement. The essence of this movement is what Srila Prabhupada has invested, has put into this movement, his instructions, his teaching, his example, his indications of how we should conduct our lives in a Krishna conscious way. That's what it means to be part. That way we will actually get spiritual benefit. Just being a member. Of course, being a member means we identify somehow or another with Krishna, so there's some benefit. But the real benefit is to take this Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, the holy name of Krishna, and everything that Srila Prabhupada has given us, and apply it to our lives 24 hours a day. Only, nothing more. You don't have to do any more than that, just 24 hours. Just that much. And you will actually feel the presence of Krishna and see Krishna and understand Krishna to the highest degree and to the fullest degree, and actually become happy. And we won't need to make all these separate endeavors. This day, that day, and another day. Of course, we can also do that. We can take advantage of that to remember, as Srila Prabhupada says here, oh, what does mother mean? Where I came from? Where did I come from? Really? Where did she come from? Where does everyone come from? Krishna. So the idea of mother, the idea of father, is to understand that everything, they represent Krishna. They gave us this body, but Krishna has given us our very existence. So this is how we can apply Krishna consciousness to every situation in life and understand the perfection of that situation. Therefore, I'm very happy to see all of you that came here on Mother's Day to worship the Supreme mother of all mothers, Sri Krishna. Of course, Srimati Radharani is also the supreme goddess, supreme mother. So anyway, I'll stop here, just leave a few minutes if anyone has a question. Yes. Here's the microphone.
We have a very good point that when it is said that you have to be minimum, does that mean effort? It means externally the effort is minimum, but the consciousness should be very developed inside. I myself find that sometimes I might do a service very nicely externally, but somehow I find that my consciousness may not be that which is required, that the service would actually be pleasing and very purifying to me. So how can I bridge that gap on an ongoing basis, that even though the effort externally may be minimal, but the consciousness with which the external activity is done would be in a very pleasing way that it gives the most benefit?
Actually, the external activity should also be maximum. I'm just making the point that even with a minimal effort, we get so much benefit. But to extend our consciousness to the fullest degree, we should also try to serve Krishna with our body, our mind, and our intelligence. And everything that we have, every possession, everything that is within our existence, we should offer to Krishna. That way, we extend our consciousness to everything that is within our purview, within our reach, within our existence, and we include it in our offering to Krishna. But I was just making the point that even the external effort, the only external effort, as Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Param Doyam Yome Bhaktapraya Shakti, even if you offer a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, if you do it with love, I will accept it. So Krishna, the point is that Krishna gives us such an easy process to have full access to Him. And He gives us such a simple process of offering our endeavors to Him. Meaning that if that's all you can do, otherwise if you have no possessions, if you have no wealth, then you can offer some water or some fruits. If you have no skills or abilities in life, you can chant Krishna's holy name. But you have to do it with full consciousness. So, if you do the minimal thing with full consciousness, what to speak of the maximum, making more effort, it should also be done with full consciousness. Everything should be done with full consciousness. And then Krishna will be pleased. So that full consciousness means by meditating on Krishna. So I think we have one more question. Just wait a few seconds for the arti. We have one question from the ethereal audience.
Yeah. Under my Purna TV, we have 33 viewers online, and we have Atma Devi Dasi from the United States. From Alatra, she is asking, although we understand as devotees, you are part and parcel of Krishna, still sometimes we act as the owner of the world. We believe to be the bedmaster of the place we work, etc. We like to be recognized. We like to be the one who is respected, etc. So where is that understanding going as devotees? If we still react like this?
Of course, a devotee, when their Krishna consciousness is fully matured, they don't look for any respect. But because Krishna is the supreme respected being, that tendency is also within us. So naturally a devotee, therefore Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that we should want to be seen by Krishna. We should want Krishna to see us. Because that tendency is there. Krishna wants his devotee to worship him. Krishna is the supreme respected person. So because that tendency comes from Krishna, we can't avoid it. But how can we purify it? By wanting Krishna to see how we are pleasing them. And that's how we can actually purify the tendencies. So unfortunately we don't have time for more questions because we cannot keep the Lord waiting. So any questions we can ask.